Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have a clean game to share with you from the 2024 Freestyle Chess G.O.A.T Challenge. A title that just rolls right off the tongue. A couple words about it. The term freestyle is referring to Fischer Random chess now. And G.O.A.T is the acronym in this case, greatest of all time. So we have a title here that I believe is in part trying to be a bit on the hip side. I don't know. Here's what I know. Gukesh D has the white pieces, and he's playing against Ding Liren. And this is the last game these guys have played. They haven't played many, 4 in total. And I don't believe they will be butting heads again until later this year for their big World Chess Championship match. Now, I said at the outset, it's a clean game. What am I talking about? Well, Gukesh is basically in control for this whole game, and Ding Liren really is not given any great opportunity to generate counterplay. This one has a very logical, under control flow to it. Now, the arrangement we work with is a very close relative to regular chess. There's one key piece that's somewhat awkward. How will the E knights be deployed exactly? Well, let's find out. Let's get a couple moves in here. We essentially have what I'm going to describe as an accelerated English opening. In English, because the C pawns are playing. And why am I attaching accelerated here? Well, it's because each side only had to take a step with the G pawn, and there you go. The bishops are already contributors. They're already fianchettoed, let's say. Additionally, in the English opening, a frequent pawn break on the queen side, b4 and b5, already has ready-made support with the queens on the b file. We continue with knight f3. Knight d6 is a very temporary pit stop. You really don't want to have your center pawns obstructed for long. Black has an idea to open up a new square soon enough for this guy. First things first, there's some pressure on c4. It's defended. Convenient enough. The bishop is happy as well. And now comes f5, some space for black on the king side and a new square for this knight to go to. This is black's idea. Put the knight on f7. Now, with f5, there comes a big responsibility. It is weakening. I said it grabs space on the king side. It's also creating weaknesses. So if black ends up castling on this wing, king side, you're probably going to want to have one of your minor pieces stick around on that side to provide additional safety for the king. We continue with knight c2. White is now ready to castle the king side. And knight to f7 follows here. Now I want to draw your attention to what the computer suggests. It's frequently the case in these 960 games we reach critical moments. We're kind of close to a critical moment. One of the suggestions here is to play b5 instead. And in a way, this is designed to give some breathing space to the black queen, get her out of this b8 square. She has much more movement now. Another option is to play a5 with the aim to try and prevent this quick b4 pawn break. All right, in this game, the knight has a different idea in mind. Goes to f7. In comes castle's kingside. Knight to f6. And now that this diagonal is sealed off, white is ready to go ahead and play b4. Play follows with c takes b in this one. Computer suggestion is to play d6 here. But we have the capture, recapture. It's already close to about a +2 advantage for white. Dips down just a little bit. And by move 12, I should note, that's where we reach a decisive advantage for white and one that is maintained throughout. So Where do we go from here? Black follows with d6. Now I'm going to throw a pop quiz your way, one that's atypical. I'm going to give you two numbers, 14 and 1. What do those numbers refer to in this exact position? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, 14 and 1, they refer to the number of legal moves between the queens. There's a significant mobility difference between the queens here. There's a space advantage, in other words, for white. The white queen is very free. Black only has one move here, one option. White has 14 options. All right, we continue with bishop to b2. Kingside castles for black. Knight e3. And bishop to d7. One of the suggestions here is to instead play e5, shut down this diagonal, create this pawn duo, grab some space on the king side. Instead, it is bishop to d7, and now we have this excellent sequence by Gukesh. I wonder if you can spot his follow-up move. Feel free to pause the video. Okay, here we go. He continues with bishop takes knight. Why is he giving up the bishop for knight? Well, it's because he's going to next follow up with knight to d5. This was his plan, to part ways with the rook, to give up the exchange, in other words. He's looking long term. He's looking at potentially attacking the black king, and he's willing to invest some material. This is what follows. Bishop takes rook here. The computer suggestion is don't take the rook. Instead, get this knight out of the way and be in a position to recapture with the rook on f6. Not the move in this game. We do have bishop takes rook. 12 moves in. It's a decisive advantage now for white, and again, one that is maintained throughout. What's the idea? Well, we're not taking the bishop. We're first grabbing a significant pawn with check and only then recapturing. So let's take stock of this position for a moment. It is a knight and pawn versus rook imbalance, but we have significant weaknesses on black's king side. f6 is a hole, h6 is a hole, d6 is isolated. We still have two knights and a queen that can cause the king a big problem. And we're going to also see this bishop play a role as well. But king safety is a huge issue for black. Also, when you look at the white king position, extremely compact, no issues here for team white. Everything is really just perfect. We continue with knight e5, queen c3, makes a lot of sense, opposite the king. Pressure on e5, rook e8, knight d5, queen finally contributing. She still didn't have very many options. She's on d8 now, in comes knight d4, setting up f4, and after the knight moves, we get a knight move with the discovered check. King gets off of the diagonal. Rook b1. Problem here. It's defended with the rook. And weak points. d6 and a7. Perfect move. Queen a3. Targeting both. How to defend. Bishop c6. The follow-up here is h3. White takes some time out to improve his king side just a little bit. h3 takes away any knight g4 jumps. The computer's a fan of going straight in for a capture, with the idea of meeting rook a8 with a capture on b7, playing where you're down two exchanges like this. But it says in this position the queen would have to fall back like this. Not really a consistent follow-up to a sacrifice to withdraw the queen. It has this aim of clogging up the b file with knight to b5, but I believe the way Gukesh is playing it is much more human and solid, and the cleaner approach. Doesn't take the A-pawn, simply makes small improvements. There's no rush here. In a position, white is in such a dominant position, you can afford to make these slow improving moves. King now on F8, very difficult to even know where the best square is for the black king. It is in a way, it feels like a passing move. So it does get out of the way of any major piece hitting now on the 7th rank with check being on this F8 square. We follow with knight to B5. Increased pressure on these 2 points. There goes the knight, but in comes the rook. Extremely invasive pieces. Look at how white is playing in black's camp, and yeah, it's like white's playing on 5 ranks. Black is just working with the 4 ranks. All right. From here, knight C6 and E3. There was a problem here on E2. Easy enough to defend. Makes a lot of sense for the bishop. Pawns on dark. Bishop on light. Also taking away a knight D4 jump. From here, king F7. And now queen to B2. Perfect square, really, for the queen. Functioning along the file and coordinating with the knight here on the sensitive F6 square. This places a restriction on the black queen. She's got a responsibility. From here, knight E5. Knight F4 opens up a new square for the bishop. Knight is attacked, doesn't have to go anywhere just yet. Check is inserted. King F6, knight to E2. The threat now, F4, again, very clumsy king position. He's moved several times, wide open position. The black rook's completely under control. White remains in the driver's seat. From here, king G6, getting a workout off of the main diagonal, but now comes D4, knight D7, and queen to B1. Wherever the king goes, the queen, it's like she's continually finding a way to cause him a problem. We got a pinned F5 pawn, and now right around the corner, there's this idea to pile up on the pinned pawn. Also, the rook is there, indirectly targeting F5 as well. We follow with knight to F6, probably one of the best squares for the knight, trying to defend. But now white can pick up a pawn, so we're staring at now what? A bishop and 2 pawns versus a rook imbalance. It remains a completely winning position for white. Queen D7. Now there's G4. F5 in the crosshairs, hit 3 times, only defended twice. Position continues to collapse for Team Black after rook to E7. There's a problem here, but also a problem on B8. After the bishop moves to C6, you have to first take on B5, otherwise you're going to lose on B8. In comes rook takes rook, and now C takes. So we have this 2-1 majority on the queen side. Easy play from here. Queen E6, another attacker on F5. This is going to collapse. King F7, how many moves is that for the king? I have lost count. Way too many. There's no solution, though, for black. Knight takes F5. It's now white who is up material here, a bishop and 3 pawns versus a rook that really doesn't function like a rook in this environment. From here, rook C7, queen B4. There's a problem on D6. D5, and after one more move, queen A5, black throws in the towel. There's a problem on C7, and what are you supposed to do about it? If you withdraw the queen, you run right into this big fork. And what other rook moves are available? There's going to be some material lost, however you slice it for black. So these squares are covered by the minor pieces. Withdrawing the rook will drop the A pawn. One of the best suggestions here by the engine is to give up the rook for the bishop. Something like this. But we have this extra pawn and this monster knight. Black remains on his back foot. No chance here for Team Black, but This one goes no further. After queen a5 again, black simply resigned. So, what did you think of this one? Anyhow, feel free, as usual, to leave any feedback to this video in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care.